Welcome to Accelerate My Practice. So glad you could join me here today. It's a beautiful day out. Glad to be here, glad to be alive, and gratitude is going to be an important thing we're going to discuss today. Today I'm going to be dealing with the topic of termination, firing, letting people go, how to do that, how to do it in a graceful, classy way, and more importantly, if you're the employee listening to this right now going, oh, thanks, Darren, this is fabulous, how not to get fired. So I want to make sure to address all these issues to where we can create an environment where everybody's winning, everybody's growing, everybody's doing very, very well. But in true fashion, I want to start, because I got a little bit of a twisted sense of humor, I want to start with a video that I think is kind of funny, and I think maybe it'll lighten the mood for us a little bit as we get started. So we'll go to that, and then we'll come back and we'll chat some more. You know, I love the question, who the heck are you, or who the heck am I? We did creatively edit that for you. It's from a movie called Up in the Air. Not sure if you've seen it or not. But, you know, it raises some interesting questions about, you know, who am I really and why should you care? You know, what I'm not, and I want to dispel this quickly, and I hope anyone who's been watching us or been around us for a long time understands that we are not the firing squad. In fact, we're quite the contrary. We want to empower people to perform at higher levels. We want to give people the opportunity to perform at a level they never have before, which of course then solves any issues when it comes to the practice and regarding any doctor maybe wanting to terminate a team member. So I want to be very, very transparent about all this. That's why I'm dealing with this topic in front of the entire team as opposed to having a secret TV show that only the doctors get to see. I would rather be very, very transparent and have everybody understand exactly where my team comes from on this matter. And it is definitely from a place of empowerment. Our goal is to empower everybody and do as little firing as possible. It's not something we ever want to do or enjoy for sure. And, you know, so as I sit there thinking about that, the first place that we need to start is expectations. And a lot of times, whenever we have issues between the doctor and the team members, a lot of times it involves expectations. And one of my favorite quotes that some of you have heard through my program is a Zig Ziglar quote that I don't have to put on the screen here for this one. And the quote is, all of us perform better and more willing when we know why we're doing what we've been told to do or asked to do. The challenge I often see is when it comes to a performance issue, there's often not clear expectations as to why the boss man, the doctor, depending on the circumstance, why they're doing what they're doing. And so oftentimes what happens is you get the team members sitting back going, you know, I don't understand the point of this. I don't think it's going to work. I don't even want to try. And sadly, they don't. And then you have the doctor, on the other hand, who's frustrated by this lack of performance, and often it's because we never explained to the team member why it was important. So I think first we need to have very, very clear expectations about whatever it is that we're going to have done and why we want to do these things. And I think if you do those two things, you'll probably cut the issues and the performance issues probably in half. I do believe it is that significant. I think oftentimes when it comes to this topic of termination, it's usually a leadership issue, and the leader's not been very, very clear. And, you know, I'm sure I'm guilty of that at times as well, where my team is looking at me going, man, Darren is crazy doing all this stuff, and they're wondering why I'm doing it, and maybe not buying into the process, because that's really what we're talking about here is buy-in. You want to have team buy-in. And we did a show at the very beginning of the year on this very topic for this purpose. And of course, now you fast forward 3 months or so, and as we're going through this progression of a year of working together, if we haven't got the buy-in that we started with back then, one of the issues could be expectations. And of course, the other issue could be that they just don't believe in what you're doing and what you're about, and that's a whole other issue. So we need to be careful that we don't have that blame game, because not only does nothing get done, but it creates a massive amount of team issues, in which case I'll refer you back to last week's show on team issues and how to resolve them. So this is one way to solve that. Have very, very clear expectations, and most importantly, why we're doing the things that we're doing. And make sure that we have buy-in behind that why. One of the shows we did real early on, and it might have been on the team buy-in, we had this graphic up. It was a Simon Sinek piece where we talked about the golden circles. And we talked about how most people talk about what they do, how they do it, and then maybe never get to why they do it. By contrast, if you always start with hey, here's why this is really important we do this. Let's use periodontal disease as an example. If periodontal disease is wildly, wildly important to our patient's health, and all the other dentistry we do won't be successful unless we take care of periodontal disease first, now the why is very, very clear. How we're going to solve this perio issue is we're going to do quad scales and perio maintenance, and we're going to send them with take-home products, and we're going to educate them on how to do it. So we're giving them the how, what, when, or why, how, what process. I love live TV. And now it makes it a lot easier for people to go forward with their marching orders and implement what we're suggesting. So, expectations. The next issue I want to move on to is from an employee perspective. So if you're a team member listening to this, I really want you to sit back and contemplate how badly do you want your job, your raise, your livelihood, your team. How important is that to you? Who else gets hurt through your actions? And the reason why I'm suggesting this is how you get leverage on yourself. I mean, you're not sharing this with anybody else. It's just a conversation with yourself, but it gives you massive amounts of leverage to change. Because sometimes we struggle to change, whether it's weight loss, saving money, spending more time with our spouse to develop that relationship. We often lack that leverage to get ourselves motivated to do it. This is how you can do it. So if you sit there imagining right now the fork in the road, and here's the bad fork, here's the good fork, and I'm going to continue down this bad fork for some reason, what happens 6 months from now? What happens 1 year from now? What happens 5 years from now if I don't perform at a high level? And really own that and get emotionally connected to whatever those circumstances can be. So my advice to each team member is to really sit there and contemplate, do you love your job? And if you don't, maybe it's right to go somewhere else. I loved the comment that he made at the end of the movie. Every time somebody's built a massive empire or done something like that, they all were sitting right here just like you right now, and it was this act that set them free to go do it. Best way to predict the future is to create it. And I think if we all have that attitude of, you know what, I don't know what my future holds. Oh wait, I do, because I'm going to create it. I'm going to actually write a map out for it. I love the model of dentistry. You look in my mouth, you see what's going on, and very, very quickly you can see exactly what you can do with my mouth. And all you do is you reverse engineer it back to where I am today, and then you write a treatment plan moving forward. There's no reason we can't do that with every aspect of our life, whether it's our performance in the practice as an employee, as a leader, as the doctor, as a coworker, as a spouse, as a friend. You can predict your future because you can create it. If you're sitting there thinking, this is the life I want to have, this is the life I'm going to have, and you've got that level of determination, and you're willing to work hard enough, as hard for it as you would if you want to breathe, is there any way that you'd fail at this? And the answer is no. And that's not to say you won't make mistakes along the way and have to overcome those mistakes. But if you're doing things for the right reason and you're working that hard, I'm quite certain no one will ever need to get fired. And that's where I want to leave this is, I know I have to give you a roadmap as to what to do if, but my hope and goal is that I've given you a roadmap of what to do to prevent, to have that outcome you want, to have that life you want, to have everything you want. The best way to predict the future is just to create it. I hope you've enjoyed our show here today. If you have questions or topics you want to see in the future, please do let me know. Get them over to me via email. Otherwise, we'll see you next Monday morning, 8 a.m. Mountain, 10 o'clock on the East Coast. Until then, have a wonderful, wonderful week. Bye-bye. What if you could have the practice of your dreams? What's holding you back? Imagine a life where you have everything you ever wanted.